Brother Ron in the house. Brother Ron in the house. Brother Ron is in the house. This is Brother Ron in the house. Testing 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. What the heck is bothering me? 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. What the heck is bothering me? This is We All Be. We all be in it to win it. In it to win it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because I'm ready to get down with the get down, to begin the begin. Welcome, everybody. This is your host, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. This is We All Be, news free Dixie for the 21st century. This has really been a very interesting year. Like I tell people now, 2020 was a sucker punch, but this year is like Tyson Fury. You don't know how it is whooping your assets. You can't figure this out. You think that this year could be doable, that it could be a lot better than last year, but it's like you see the punches coming, but you can't do a thing about it. You can't even rope a dope your way out of this. You can't even rope a dope. Even Ali couldn't escape the hazards of rope a doping over his career. I mean, you thinking that you are, you're catching the punches, you're blocking, but it's still doing damage that you that you can only see in the long term. But I owe it to the people to come live tonight. I didn't really want to come live at all, but just my city, Memphis, our official moniker is the city of good abode. And oh man, this killing a young Dolph. Brother named Adolph Thornton II. I think that's his name. This is his government name. Let me check. Take a look. It's all online. Yeah, he's a junior. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., also known as Young Dolph. This is really hitting me some type of way. Now, I know y'all remember 2 years ago. I still can't believe it's been 2 years ago that we lost Nipsey Hussle. I could remember where I was at and what I was doing when I heard about the news of Nipsey Hussle. And it was really strange because I felt like I lost a family member. Although I was not a fan, I didn't really listen to Nipsey Hussle while he was alive. I was pretty much aware of Nipsey Hussle as being one of Lauren London's baby daddies, him and Lil Wayne, on the Crip side, Wayne on the blood side. It's like like Lauren London was doing a Queen of Sheba thing or whatever. There's like some biblical stuff going on with that. But anyway, some hood biblical stuff going on. But I know that, I felt away. And then you start finding out all the things that Nipsey was doing in the community and stuff. And then you start realizing this is a loss. But also I realize now it's a lot of programming. It's funny how the media can program you to feel a certain way about certain people or subjects. Really come manipulate and play with your emotions. Like Brother Malcolm said, to paraphrase Brother Malcolm X, the media is the most powerful force on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. Now, Nipsey, in his life was known as a gangster rapper. And, he did that song called, Give It to Donald Trump. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Give it to Donald Trump, him and the other brother, what's the brother name? Y'all know I'm talking about, the other rapper who gets shot up every now and then. He got 9 lives, what a Tupac and a Young Dolph head, but everybody got his day. Y'all know the brother I'm talking about. I'm not gonna be worried about that, but I'm getting to the point where, you had like the city treating Nipsey Hussle like he was the Prince of L.A. Like they roll out the red carpet treatment. They gave him like a head of state funeral at Staples Center. Soon to be named something else, cryptocurrency.com or some stuff like that. I don't know. But they gave him the treatment that I can remember Michael Jackson's funeral. Michael Jackson is the king of pop. Michael Jackson, one of the greatest entertainers, if not the greatest entertainer who ever graced this matrix, this planet. and he had a send out that was worthy of his legacy. But Nipsey got the same type of treatment. Here, this guy wasn't really on people's radar like that. He had a following. I mean, he had a following. He had a fan base, and I like the way he marketed himself and he did things to create the foundation for his empire. Like the marathon continues, but Young Dolph had the paper route empire, but he got the same treatment as a Michael Jackson, which I thought was interesting. And Jermaine Dupri was criticized for calling him Jesus. And I felt that Nipsey was Jesus, the way he was being treated. Like you could attribute miracles happening to Nipsey Hussle. Like I know I got attacked by a dog, and it was crazy. And I was listening to Nipsey Hussle before, I was deep into my Nipsey Hussle stuff, just listening to his words and lyrics and songs. I said, "Oh, Nipsey must have said he's a saint." So I'm just saying, he had a certain charisma about himself, a messianic look about him, like because he's from Eastern Africa, they have a certain type of look. But with that said, I actually was a fan of Young Dolph for about 6 years. Now, I was introduced to Young Dolph when I was like traveling and covering news for We All Be, like in places like Ferguson. I'll tell people I was from Memphis, and they said, man, we love Memphis, man. We love Yo Gotti, we love Young Dolph, we just love y'all style, y'all swag. We love Memphis hip hop, man. I go to Baltimore for Memorial Day of 2015. Darren Muhammad, the great radio broadcaster out of Baltimore. Shout out to Darren Muhammad, State of the City. He actually took time out of his schedule to show me around his town, Baltimore, several hours. I mean, he gave me a great layout of the history, of the hidden history, of the black hand, of the black people part in Baltimore. So I appreciate that. So we actually went to where Freddie Gray was brutalized by the police in Baltimore, where he lived. And he had some of his friends standing outside one of his murals, like they had the official mural they did for Freddie Gray. Then around the corner, they had the people's mural for Freddie Gray. I mean, they had to get here like Jordans and stuff out, the teddy bears and everything, and the actual mural for him on the wall. So we engaged these young brothers. And I asked them about Freddie Gray, off the camera, off the record, and they told us, their own perspective about things. And some of the brothers asked me, "Where you from, man?" I said, "I'm from Memphis." And their eyes just lit up. And I said, man, we love Young Dolph, man. We love y'all Memphis cats, man. We love the Young Dolph stuff. We're gonna go to this concert. We love Yo Gotti. And it was interesting, like when I tell people I'm from Memphis, one of the first things they'll mention was it'd be the barbecue or be the rappers. Like it'd be Yo Gotti or it'd be Young Dolph. So I started getting, I said, who is this Young Dolph kid? Let me get deep into this guy. Because really, I wasn't aware of Young Dolph until about 2014 when I went to Ferguson, and a brother told me, when I told him I was from Memphis, that he loved Young Dolph. He's one of the top rappers in the game. I said, okay. He said, Dolphin? He said, no, man, Young Dolph, man. I said, okay. So I checked out Young Dolph. I heard the Preach song with, he had all the remixes with 2 Chainz, Rick Ross, Jeezy. I mean, it was, he had a different approach, man. Young Dolph was an interesting cat. He had his own signature style. Like I think he was very gifted. I think actually he's one of the greatest rappers of his generation, easily. I mean, his impact, his influence, he actually had a great talent in a way of putting over a story, because everything comes down to telling stories. I'm a storyteller. So from one storyteller to another, I could appreciate his genius for being able to, what Brother Malcolm would say, make it plain to his people, speaking our pains and joys and trials and tribulations, and just sharing his testimony with the people. Now, it was very shocking that he was killed where he was killed. My people are from that area, that's South Memphis. My people from Bunker Hill, he's from Castalia. He always shouted down and big up in that area in his songs. I mean, he carried Memphis on his back. He was the king of Memphis. He really repped that part of town. And you think that for all that repping of Castalia and of South Memphis, that he will be able to call that place home where he get some peace of mind and could be loved among his people. He could be himself among his people. Baba Dick Gregory will always tell us, the late great Baba Dick Gregory, it's really the omnipresent Baba Dick Gregory, would constantly say that black people made him, the success. His foundation was getting black folks to receive him and accept him and believe in him. Young Dolph was made by us. We made Young Dolph. His roots is in us. You know, it was interesting. Young Dolph had a following of more than black people. But, you know, a lot of black folks dug Young Dolph. A lot of brothers and even sisters out the hoods of America, because really, the world is a ghetto. Y'all keep on thinking the world ain't a ghetto. Most of the world lives in poverty. It's a ghetto, you know, and people talk about, well, he should have lived somewhere else, or he should have moved. You can't escape that. Like I tell people, man, Bugsy Siegel was killed in Beverly Hills. Oh, Biggie was killed near Beverly Hills, off Wilshire. Out there, the Peterson Automotive Museum, right down the street from the La Brea Tar Pit. Matter of fact, you know, Bernie Sanders' California campaign headquarters is right across the street at that intersection where Biggie was killed. So that was really a nice part of town, because y'all do realize that Biggie was taken to Cedars-Sinai. That's in Beverly Hills. So, like, you know, this idea of running away from yourself, and it's really ridiculous. I know Nipsey was killed, you know, in his hood, whatever. And, you know, even Sam Cooke was killed in Watts under questionable circumstances. But you can't escape your shadow. It's like in Memphis, they real big about real estate development here. Not developing people, but developing places and things. Not really investing in people, because people got it twisted about Memphis. If I believe what y'all be saying on social media about Memphis, I'll be afraid to leave my home. I'm constantly out in these streets. Sometimes in that area where Young Dolph was killed, I'll be over there at least once or twice a week, driving through, conducting business. Not in fear of my life, because life is this dangerous. You could die in your home. You could die in your sleep. You could slip off your rug in your house. You could slip in your bathtub. Death is everywhere. Death is a part of the circle of life. So you cannot be afraid. Young Dolph got shot at 100 times in Charlotte. He got shot several times point blank range in Hollywood. And the traffic, like, you know, I read a story, like, you know, and it's crazy that the best journalism done about Young Dolph and black culture is a lot of times outside of America. Like, some of the best information I have gotten on the life of Young Dolph is not from my local news. It's not from American mainstream television. It's from the British press. It's from the Guardian. They got better stories and insight on Young Dolph and his career and his life than, I ain't gonna say no paper name or papers name, but we really slacking on our job. And one of the reasons why I'm on here is because I recall what Brother Malcolm said, where he basically analyzed the problem with so-called black media, is that instead of us being proactive and breaking the story and controlling the narrative, we are always reactive to the so-called white media. We are always waiting to get our cues for the so-called white media. But let me just take this back and take this ball of clay and make it in my image, in our image, and make it plain to you all and feed y'all on a different point of view. It's not for you all to see things as I see them. I got my special prescription magic glasses on, and I can't take them off. I can't force you to see what I see, but I could tell you what I do see, and I add it, you know, into the gumbo, into the mix, because everybody's talking. I've been listening to everybody talking, all this craziness that people talk about, and really, I'm just gonna make it really, really plain. I'm not gonna get so religious and all this BS. I'm not gonna talk about, you know, necessarily you live by the sword or you die by the sword, because this man was a family man and he gave back to the community just like Nipsey. This man was supposed to give out turkeys today. According to one source, his lawyer, allegedly named Scott Hall, said he was on his way to give out turkeys. And y'all know that the price of turkey went up like the price of gas. And it was claiming it's going to be a turkey shortage. But so this guy was supposed to have been giving out turkeys a Wednesday, right after he left the cookie shop. And he supposed to give out turkeys on Friday and Saturday. They say he gave out turkeys on Monday. It's an annual thing. But he was in his neighborhood. You know, he went to Hamilton High School, go Wildcats. My people went to Hamilton High School. So he just gave a lot of money to the school. I think he recently gave like $25,000 to his alma mater. And that's cool. That's big up. And my thing is, you can look at social media. His wife, got this movement saying that black men should live to be old. She loved black men. He loved black women. They had beautiful black children. They have beautiful black children. Black family matters. Black lives do matter. But what we gotta understand that we can't be concerned about what white folks think about how we view ourselves and how we take care of ourselves. Because too many of y'all are too concerned about what so-called others think, where they don't really think about you at all. But you spend all your time thinking about them, and that's unfortunate because life is too short to be thinking about what other people be thinking about you when you can't control other people's thoughts. You can only control you and what you decide to do with your own ideas and your own life and actions and philosophies. So I just want to ingrain that in people who's listening to this podcast. That's very important. Stop thinking about what other people think about you and learn how to think for yourself and be concerned and think about yourself in very positive and life affirming ways. That's very important. Young Dolph was given. Y'all would say, well, listen to the music. Hell, y'all love Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, James Cagney. Y'all didn't confuse them for the gangsters on the screen. But y'all say, well, Young Dolph talk this way and, and 50 Cent talk that way. And why is it different for black people when we want to act? And when white folks act, you want to know why it's different? Because black people, we magical people. White folks know we the secret ingredient to manifesting stuff. Why you think they had us going to slavery? They knew that we had the power to manifest their wildest desires. Thoughts of empire. You look at Veterans Day. Y'all talking about Astr World was a blood sacrifice. Don't you know that every war is a blood sacrifice? Every war is a ritual blood sacrifice. Y'all think wars are fought for freedom. No, wars are fought for control and power. It's not fight. They don't fight wars for morality. It's about leverage and access and controlling and the procuring of resources. So y'all got it all twisted. So all your people that served in all these wars, y'all talking about reparations. Y'all don't get no reparations because y'all the blood sacrifice. We are the blood sacrifice. See, black folks fought in every war. Hell, we even fought in the French and Indian War. But y'all don't know, hey, what color were those Indians that were fighting with the French or fighting against the French? All this stuff is confusion. By the way, shout out to Kara Dangerous. Get your shirt. Join the No movement. You go her website, Kara Dangerous Talk. Get that merch. Buy that merch, y'all. So support the Kara Dangerous Talk. Buy her shirt. I'm just repping it. It's a good quality shirt. Got it the other day. It fits well. It's, it got a lot of room for me. I'm losing weight supposedly, and I could tell in these shirts because But yeah, go to Kara Dangerous Talk to get that merch. To get the merch. To get the merch. The merch. The merch. The merch. So go outside. Shout out to Kara Dangerous. So, but we have the power to manifest. We are the universe's alchemists. A lot of us don't know that. See, the problem with us is we don't have no imagination or vision for ourselves. We allow ourselves to be utilized for everybody else's manifestations and visions of what they want to have. And we always allow everybody else to tell us what our role is and what our life should be and the expectations for said life. It's interest about us as a people. Black folks tell me I got to run away from other black people. You feel safer around your oppressor than you do around the oppressed, your fellow oppressed. That's interesting to me that you can feel safe around people that oppress you. You rather live in hell than to be in your own version of heaven. See, y'all keep on telling me we love heaven. Well, y'all love hell. Because if y'all didn't love hell, y'all wouldn't take so much hell while you living. Y'all take all the hell, then talk about reparations. The devil is only qualified to give you more hell, no reparations. So you got it all confused and flipped out, but it was weird this week has been in particularly like off the weirdness scale off my frequencies because on Tuesday evening, I had the pleasure of talking to Sister Willie Mae, who is 101 years young. She is 101 years young. She is the mother of 7 children One of her children is a friend of mine now, Brother John B. Smith, who wrote the 400 from Slavery to Hip Hop. We had Brother John Smith on here a couple of times for the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival Week that we just had, and we're going to talk about that as well. But I had a chance to meet his mom. She is 101 years young, from Mississippi. I interviewed her for about 2 hours. Me and my mom, sister, Dr. Callie Heard. We met her granddaughter, and two of her daughters. One was joining us via video conference call. Amazing time to listen to this Black woman talk about 100 plus years of living. And in spite of some of the infirmities she's been through recently, she still had the energy and the passion for living. And she actually helped influence lives along the way. She gospel singer and an educator. She actually saved 2 Black children's lives while she was educating them. She saved 1 Black child from drowning and another Black child, her first cousin, from burning in a house. But yeah, I look at the fruit that her tree bears. I look at her son, one of the co-founders of the Memphis Invaders, which is our version of the Black Panther Party, who had a chance to speak with Dr. King in the last few hours of his life. So these are the type of people that she produced, and wonderful spirit. And we had a chance to record it. But then the contrast that with what happened with young Dolph today, man, life is unfair, man, because it's interesting because a lot of us do a lot of talking about if we was Indians or if we were slaves and all this stuff. And I had a chance to talk to a woman who is 101 years young. She was born July 14th, 1920. And I asked her about, did you know any Native Americans in your family? Do you know anybody that said it was Indian? She couldn't recall. And then she's 101 years old. Then could you recall any of your elders talking about how slavery was? And she couldn't recall at the time. So, not saying that she don't have Native Americans in her family, not saying that she did not have people that were enslaved or former slaves in her family, but she just was honest about, I can't recall. Then I asked her, did you experience any type of racism or Jim Crowism growing up? Or white terrorism? Do you know anybody that was lynched or who disappeared while going to the grocery store for eggs and bread? And she said, I can't recall that. And she said, do you any interaction with white people, any white playmates growing up? She's from Mississippi. She actually got roots in the hometown where Oprah Winfrey is from. And she said, no, I didn't have any white playmates. Then I said, did you know y'all was poor? Y'all were sharecroppers? And no, I didn't feel poor because they always had a place to stay. They always had enough to eat. They grew their own food, and they always felt love from their people. She was raised by her grandparents, but she never felt that she was unloved, or she never had a want for anything. Even though I said, like I told her, I said, a lot of people didn't know they were poor until the invention of television. Television told you what the standards of living should be, like Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy. You saw that, you said, well, we don't have that, so we must not be happy. But you talk to a lot of folks from that era. They may not had a lot, but they had a lot in terms of love and support of family. Because Black folks, we used to believe in family. One of the first things we did after the Civil War was to find our families, because they were split up by the war. And I could trace ancestry to the Civil War. I had a great grandfather named Frank Moon. They spelled his name Mhoon. He was from the Moon family of Mississippi. His brothers was U.S. colored troops. So I could trace my family all the way back to the American Revolutionary War, because we fought in every war. And we have some white ancestors too. But what I'm saying is, this is very important. This is a woman who lived to be 101 years old. She did not have to interact with white people at all while she was growing up, because they had the white part of town and the Black part of town. It was split by the railroad, but they had everything they needed in the Black part of town. Although they did have, white folks who owned the stores. They had one Black man who owned a grocery store and a gas station named Nathan White. but they had to deal with white folks because their system, but they didn't have too much interaction with white people, and they was plenty happy. Like I said, this woman was 101 years old, was able to have 7 kids and save the lives of 2 children and help educate so many others. So it was amazing just talking to them. Then the next day you hear the news of young Dolph. Rich beyond, multi-millionaire, famous, talented, young, good-looking family, dead at 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. I know I ain't gonna get into all the geometry stuff. I'm, y'all be intellectual masturbating. It's good to know, but if you can't do nothing with the info that you know, what's the good of knowing? There's just so much that we want. Oh man, you gotta know the numbers and this. I got caught up in there too with the Kobe stuff, but enough is enough. Just tell our stories, feed our minds, do your research, and gematria is good to know. Don't get me wrong, I studied the zodiac and I'm into numerology and stuff like that. And young Dolph, he was 36 when he died. 3 plus 6 is 9. He was born July 27, 1985. 2 plus 7 is 9. So his mission on Earth is done, or it's just beginning, depending on how you look at it. But young Dolph was planting seeds, but it just, and you think about Makita's Cookies. I used to go to Makita's Cookies when they were downtown. They had a location downtown, as well as the one on Airways where young Dolph was taken from us. They got a lot of great publicity from an unfortunate tragedy. Like you got places like CNN saying the name of the cookie bakery, Makita's Cookies. Young Dolph believe in investing in Black businesses because Black businesses matter. But green is the most important color when conducting business. Green is always the most important color when conducting business. Green is always the most important color when conducting business. But he even promoted, Makita's Cookies, right? Right before he died, a week before he died, he was on there promoting Makita's Cookies, right? So they got a lot of publicity. And it's going to be interesting because you look at how they did Nipsey Hussle, where he died at. There was a gathering spot. People came from around the world, not just around the country, from around the world to pay their respects. It's going to be interesting how people will come in the weeks after this to pay their respects to young Dolph at their site. I hope that the business can make good off of this unfortunate tragedy, that they can remain open to feed their families and also to support the community. Young Dolph thought enough of their business to make it his business to promote their business. And we should remember that example from young Dolph of him promoting Black businesses. But it just really, and I don't think, I'm being honest with you, I don't think it was a person from the community that killed him. I don't think it was nobody from that area that killed him. Because young Dolph was very well respected in there. Like I said, he put that area, he carried that part of Memphis with him throughout his whole career. He was proud to be from that part of Memphis. He was proud to be from Memphis. I just think it's weird. We don't know what happened. He's been targeted a lot of times over his career. For most of his life, he's been targeted. Like he said, he began these type of threats and stuff of his life since he was like 16 or 17 years old. He died at 36. He got shot at 100 times in Charlotte. He made a song called 100 Shots for his album. It's called a Charlotte album. Amazing song. I guess the 101st shot got him, but they said, I heard rumors that he was shot at as many as 50 times today. That he was hit with 50 rounds. I don't know. Some places say he was outside the shop, and then other sources say he was inside the shop. And actually somebody was on the scene with their smartphone camera recording it right when the police was just about getting there. And you could see young Dolph some type of way laying outside. His arm was outside the broken window, something like that. His car with his camouflage Lamborghini, he was known for having bulletproof cars. So people say he was so reckless. And he had bulletproof cars, like his SUV that got shot at 100 times. The cops in Charlotte said they're gonna only account for 50 bullets, but it probably was 100 times. And it was bulletproof from my understanding, but his cars were known to be bulletproof. But allegedly, the car was following him to the shop, and before he could get to his car to safety, they got him. And probably they was following him for a minute, because we all can be creatures of habit. And young Dolph seen he used to go to that place a lot, Makita's Cookies, at a certain time. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it was about action from that community. They did that. I don't think. And you know what was strange? And some people say he had his security with him as well. I don't know. We don't know what the real story is until they tell us, right? They're going to tell us the narrative. They're not really telling us too much. Like the police director didn't say too much of anything that a lot of us did not already know on social media. But you know what's crazy is that right up the street, literally right up the street, like a block or two, is the police precinct. You got the police precinct up the street from that for what happened there. And young Dolph has had his issues with law enforcement in the past, from my understanding. Now, don't take my word for it. Take a look. It's all online. But I think he had some run-ins with the law, with Johnny Law in the past. I mean, but yeah, to know that the police precinct is up the street, not that far away. To me, I will hope that they will have cameras around. They got traffic stop cameras. They got cameras at the traffic stop, right? They could take pictures again and send you something in the mail, say you owe $50 or $100 for running a red light and for speeding, whatever. But I will hope that some of the businesses, because it was a Family Dollar was there, you had Domino's and Makitas, had churches across the street, got the police down the street, that they could get, an understanding of what happened. It sounded like the people shot at him from their car, or whoever that was. And it hasn't even been 24 hours. I hope law enforcement actually care about solving this crime. Because I'm not going to say it was a black person that did this. I don't know who did this. Y'all keep on saying it was a black person. It was a thing that happened in New York a couple of weeks ago. Dude was killed by a hitman that looked like we call it Hasidic Jew. Like it was like this Hasidic Jew character. Allegedly had his car hood up, like he was trying to fix his car, waiting for this guy who just came home. This guy who was a gangster, a black gangster drug dealer back in the day, around the A.L.L era. And he did I guess 20 years or something in the jail. You could look this up. I'm getting y'all the information, but they had a camera looking at a street camera. Someone was looking at this guy, acting like he was fixing his car. Then he waited for the black gangster guy to go to his car to get into the driver's seat, and he approached him and shot him up. So there was no black guy. There was some white dude trying to look like he was a Hasidic Jew. It could have been a Jew, because a lot of the people in Murder Inc., a lot of the hitters in Murder Inc. were Jewish people. I'm talking about Big, Benjamin Siegel, Louis Lepke, Buckhalter, those guys. A lot of them were Jewish hitmen. So it could have been an actual Jew, but he had the Hasidic Jew thing on, with the beard and the curls, and the hand he shot the dude. But anyway, I'm not going to fall into that trap and say there was a black person that pulled that trigger. We don't know who pulled that trigger yet, if we'll ever find out, because most murders go unsolved, especially one dealing with rappers for whatever reason. Like, Chris Rock had that joke back in the day about, you want to make sure they don't solve a crime? You drop the mixtape by the dudes. Oh, it's a rapper. Fuck him. Excuse me. So like, oh, it's a rapper. He got a mixtape. Don't worry about it. Rappers are very expendable these days. A lot of rappers been dropping. Everybody but Tekashi 6ix9ine. Y'all get all the good ones. Y'all get XXXTentacion. Y'all get with the brother. Oh my God, the brother from Brooklyn. They be like putting all this stuff out like he Tupac now. He the new Tupac. The brother from Brooklyn who got killed at the beginning of the year, right before Kobe Bryant. Pop Smoke. A name like Pop Smoke. I didn't know who he was until he was popped and smoked. Words create worlds. And we're gonna get into that. The alchemy. Manifestations, how they use black folks to create certain realities. And I want to say, yeah, like you moving from neighborhoods, like like Memphis is into real estate. The white powers that be, they love real estate. They don't care about building people. They like to build things and to control things. It's not about building people, it's about breaking people. But anyway, you hear places like, I remember Memphis, they knocked down the projects here in Memphis. And they end up building like mixed housing and condominiums and these places, but where do you put the people who grew up for generations in the so-called project? Because the projects is a social experiment. That's why it's called the projects. You move them out into the suburbs out east in Memphis, you know, the suburbs become the ghetto. How is that possible? Or it's like the project, because it's not about physical spaces, it's about the mental. If you have conditioned the mental a certain way, it will manifest things a certain way. You understand what I'm saying? It's your mind. It's not the physical, it's the mental and the spiritual. Words create world. Black people are the manifestors. You know, we manifest stuff. We universe soul people. We know how to do that. So that's why our words have weight. It's like you look at Notorious B.I.G. I'll never get tired of this. You know, Notorious B.I.G. What was the name of his first album? It was called Ready to Die. What was the name of his second album? Life After Death. When did that album come out? After he was dead. You see how it works? So he couldn't even enjoy his greatest success because he was already a dead man. Like Tupac, death around the corner. I see death this, death that. I'm gonna die at a young age. I'm gonna die before my time. Da da da. And what happened? He dies before his time, because it's not just acting with us. We are manifesting things. You know, people talk about soul ties. Black people, we are a different people. You know, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro can do gangster stuff and live to be 80 something. They're approaching their 80s, if not in their 80s, they're in their late 70s. Probably early 80s, but Tupac and Biggie had to check out at 25 and 24, doing the same type of posturing through the music, but the music got a different vibration to it. It has a different vibration to it, because we used to use music to heal. Now we use music to kill. Music used to heal. Now we use it to kill. Like, I have not seen the Kanye West thing, you know, from Drink Champs and all that. I don't look at a lot of this stuff, but I like the fact that Kanye is a great thought provocateur. And he talked about the 808 and the things you can't hear that they put in music, that you don't know how they master the music, how they mix the music, and how it have you doing things. Music does influence your attitude, your mind, your mental, your spiritual. Music does have an impact on that. Don't let them lie to you. If it didn't have that, they won't let black folks control our music. Why won't they let us control our music? Why wouldn't they let Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Michael Jackson, and Prince, and so many others control our music if it didn't have that type of power? I'm not talking about this monetary power. I'm talking about the power to shape reality and to alter it, to control people's moods and behavior. Music does have that power. Music can heal and it can kill. So Young Dolph and them guys are a victim of that. I mean, I'm not gonna look. People talking about the music, genocidal, okay, whatever. America history is a gangster rap album. America always been violent. Like Dr. King said, the greatest purveyor of violence on my planet, on this planet, is my own government. I'm paraphrasing, I might not got it right. What I'm saying is, control your intellectual property. To have the ability to control your gifts. You're not allowed it as a black person. You're not even allowed the ability to control your body. We're not just talking about abortion. We're talking about from Tuskegee experiments to that crazy Dr. J. Marion Sims, the real Dr. Frankenstein, where he was destroying black women wombs and mutilating babies and calling it science. They say he's the father of gynecology. He was doing things that make Dr. Joseph Mengele blush. And he's the father of gynecology. Look what he did to Henrietta Lacks. Did not even give her permission or consent to exploit her cells, her so-called immortal cells. She couldn't live, but her cells can't die. And her family still can't afford medical insurance. They still living destitute. The white woman, Rebecca Skloot, who wrote that book, she was a writing professor at the University of Memphis. She wrote that book. She got wealthy off of that. Oprah did a movie about it and played the lead. The daughter that she used to interview, Rebecca Skloot did, the daughter is dead. And her family still has not gotten reparations or an apology from the so-called medical establishment. You know, y'all can look all this stuff up. But what I'm saying is, I'm not here this simpleton, or you know, live by the sword, die by the sword. The brother was, he made a deal, like they all do. They all make deals. You see this picture behind me? That's my interpretation of the late great Johnny Ace, another Memphis music icon, gone too soon. You know, he died on December 25th of 54, playing around with his gun. Like he had a habit of pointing his gun at road signs when they used to, you know, drive on going to gigs. He'll point his guns at the road signs and shoot the road signs. Sometimes he'll go around and point his gun at people and pull the trigger and it'll go off and nothing happens. And so doing a Christmas concert down in Houston back on 1954, he had his girlfriend Olivia Gibbs in his lap. He'll go around pointing his gun at people, pointing the gun at her, pull the trigger, it didn't go off. He just then Big Mama Thornton. If y'all know who Big Mama Thornton is, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. You know, the one that song that Elvis took and made it, you know, his own. She was his label mate at Duke Records. They used to work for a guy named Don Roby. Don Roby was a mixture between Berry Gordy, Suge Knight, and Russell Simmons. He was ahead of his time. He looked like a white man, but he was a black man. And so, you know, Johnny was signed to this guy. Big Mama Thornton and some other people got mad at Johnny Ace for pointing his gun at them. And he said, Johnny, why don't you point that gun yourself? Stop pointing the gun at people. You're going to hurt somebody or something. And I heard different versions that Big Mama Thornton took the gun from him and gave it back. Johnny Ace said, hey, y'all tripping. This gun ain't loaded. And I'm going to show y'all it ain't loaded. And then he pointed to his head with the gun and it went off and killed himself. So it wasn't really Russian roulette. He was just going around pointing the gun. And he pointed at himself, thought it was empty, he pulled the trigger and killed himself. He was just 25 years old, died on Christmas night, 1954. They had his funeral on January 2nd, 1955 in Memphis at Claiborne Temple. He was a part of the Bill Streeters. Now, Johnny Ace is an interesting case. He was considered the most popular black male R&B, early rock and roll singer in the early 50s. His career was only really 2 years, but he was a part of the Bill Streeters. He was very gifted. He could play anything he could get his hands on. He could play the piano, saxophone, trumpet, anything. He was self-taught. He was in the Bill Streeters with B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland, Junior Parker, Roscoe Gordon, Earl Forrest, and some other people. They're like a super R&B group. Y'all talking about we call this group Sonic Silk or Silk Sonic. This guy was a head above. They're like, I had met Bobby Blue Bland a year before he died. And I was thanking him. I said, man, I love you guys, the Bill Streeters, all you guys, and you Johnny Ace, and y'all like the Wu-Tang Clan of blues. He looked at me crazy. Said, what? I said, I mean, the Wu-Tang Clan like the Bill Streeters of hip hop. Said, there you go. So I asked him about Johnny Ace. He said Johnny was a fine singer. See, there's a story about how Johnny Ace got his break. You know, at that time, Bobby Blue Bland was up to sing a song. This sound engineer named Dave Mattis, who worked at WDIA, the first black radio formatted station in the whole country, that started in Memphis back in 1948. Memphis is a very powerful, powerful place. Don't let these folks talk about the city of the dead. Some of the top rappers in the game are from where? They're from Memphis. Young Dolph was one of the best rappers of his generation. Yo Gotti, NLE Chopper. You can think, I think a whole bunch of people. Young Blackster, I think his name. A lot of you cats are from Memphis. Memphis is a very intriguing place. But anyway, so Bobby Blue Bland couldn't read. He was functionally illiterate. Not only could he not read music at that time, he could not read at all. So Johnny Ace was given the lyrics. It was called My Song, and it was his hit, and the rest is history. But Johnny been dead for 25 years. I'm not 25. He died at 25. But Johnny Ace was so popular that in order to get him as your headliner, you had to get either B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland, or Little Richard as his opening act. But decades later, nobody talks about Johnny Ace. You know, Little Richard and B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland, they all went on to glory, but they are in all these Hall of Fames. And Johnny Ace is only in the Jimmy Lunsford Legacy Award Hall of Fame. And, you know, as an insult, and his granddaughter is the great Legacy. If you look at a picture of Johnny Ace and Legacy, they look alike. You could tell that's his granddaughter. So Johnny Ace legacy lives on through his granddaughter Legacy, who was a byproduct of his side chick relationship. Now he was married to his high school sweetheart, but he was on the road for most of the time. She stayed with his parents, so he didn't really see her at all. So on his lap was his girlfriend, Olivia Gibbs, who actually went to the funeral. Y'all go online and find some actual primary sources about the funeral of Johnny Ace. It was very, very interesting. The black press covered it in a lot of detail. They talked to his side chick, Olivia Gibbs. I think Olivia Gibbs was or is Lettucey's grandmother. If I ever get a chance to talk to Lettucey, I'd like to ask her about that. I had a chance to interview Robert Johnson's daughter, I mean, not Robert Johnson, but Johnny Ace's daughter, who was only like 2.5 years old when her father died. But, you know, she looked like her father. That's a strong family link. They all look alike. So anyway, I wonder, you know, because young Dolph is very popular today. He still got a large black following. I looked at Travis Scott stuff. I don't know how many black folks really listen to Travis Scott, but there's a lot of black folks that listen to young Dolph. I'm just wondering, are they going to forget about young Dolph 25, 30, 50 years from now? Now, I like his music, you know, but are they going to forget? It's not mumble rap, you know. It's very lyrical, got a melody to it. He knew what he was doing. He's very good at what he did. But I wonder if he'll be remembered 50 years from now, or 25, or even 10 years from now. Because one thing about black people, we don't write or control our narratives. We let other people determine what our narrative should be, and they'll make us the supporting actor or marginal character in our own story. It's your story, but they'll tell it from their perspective. See, we got to get out of that habit of always wanting to please other folks who don't give a damn about us, who never really think about us and consider our feelings or input on anything. So this is what I'm talking about. This is why I do what I do. I'm telling our stories. The dead talk to me. They talk to you. A lot of y'all ignore our ancestors. That's why we have the problems that we have. Our ancestors. Y'all don't want to hear about the story. You know, I did a program. You know, see, they love talking about, you know, this negative, tragic stuff. But I did a program about this guy right here, Jimmy Lunsford. Spent thousands of dollars on the program. Not just honoring just Jimmy Lunsford, who should be honored. He was like the number one band of choice for black people. Doing it, he was more popular than Duke Ellington and Cab Calloway and Count Basie, all them guys. But I'm honoring Memphis music heritage while I'm doing this. You know, I thought I was helping folks, but they wanted to sabotage me. I thought there were people that were my friends and allies in this, and all they want to do was sabotage because they couldn't believe that I still could do this stuff without all this support. Memphis is a tough town. Young Dolph got love everywhere. He didn't get a lot of love in Memphis. It's like people, you know, Elvis died in Graceland, but you think Elvis was out in Memphis most of the time towards the last years of his life. Elvis spent more time in Las Vegas than he did in Memphis because he got more respect. Whatever you may think about Elvis, Memphis weird. Like young Dolph did not get the respect he deserved. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, people love young Dolph everywhere else, but really in Memphis, but he was repping Memphis. He put on for his city, as Kanye and them would say. He put on for his city, and he was giving back, and he didn't have no problem walking among his people. He felt safe among his people. It's a damn shame. Yeah, you see, y'all you talking about running away. See, Jimmy Lunsford, no matter how rich and famous he got, when he used to come to Memphis, he always did free stuff for the kids at Manassas High School, free musician clinics, free workshops. Concerts, excuse me. He felt more comfortable living among black folks. He didn't care how much money he was stacking. He'll live up in Edgecombe Avenue up in Harlem. He would live, you know, in White Plains, New York, next to Representative Adam Clayton Powell Jr., the greatest congressperson we ever sent to Congress, and his wife, Hazel Scott, brilliant musician and early TV show pioneer, and the Nicholas brothers. This man will always live among black people. Louis Armstrong could have lived anywhere in the world, but he wanted to live among black folks, the black working class folks in Queens at that time. And a lot of black musicians moved to Queens to be close to Satchmo. So they don't tell us about the greatness of black. You know, Louis Armstrong, he had, you know, put up some we call it brick gates and stuff, brick walls for his house. He offered his neighbors, I'll pay for y'all to have brick walls too. Y'all want them brick walls, brick fences? I'll pay for them. Courtesy of Pops. That's how he was thinking. He was about community. He was about village because he knew that he would not have been able to make it without the village. It takes the village. Louis Armstrong had all types of people looking out for him, not just who y'all think will be, not just musicians, but pimps and prostitutes. The village was looking out for Louis Armstrong. So young Dolph, he came from our village, man. You know, people looked out for him. He wanted to give back. You know, he wanted to help his parents. They was dependent on drugs, whatever. But he put it upon himself to make sure that he would get his folks out of their predicament. And he did with his paper route empire. He did that. And it's just sad, man. It's just, you know, I was feeling weird today. I was feeling so weird. My energy was weird. Like I was energetic, but I was off. My energy was off. Then I found out what happened around 1 something. And it really said, this is what I was feeling off or awful about. The loss of young Dolph. This really hurt the city. Like I said, I don't think it was a person from that particular neighborhood that did that to Dolph, because he's been having issues with people trying to kill him for a while now. And people say, well, you know, was it Yo Gotti? Because people putting out there in social media that, you know, Yo Gotti's restaurant club, Privy, or whatever it's called, was attacked out in East Memphis, was shot up allegedly, and somebody shot up or burned down young Blacksters. What are you, Black Youngster? It's Black Youngster, right? So I don't know those cats. Like, there's so many of them guys. Black Youngster's grandma's home, and she got injured or something like that. There's all rumors and innuendo. It's COINTELPRO is real. My thing is, I wouldn't know. It's easy to point at Yo Gotti right now. I wouldn't do that. Cooler heads prevail and see how things play out. It reminds me of what happened in Kansas City with Mac Dre, who is from the West Coast, right? Mac Dre, you know, the Thizzle King, whatever they did, Thizzle, dum dum dum. You know, tell me when to go out. He's the father of all that, Mac Dre, and he was killed in Kansas City on the expressway, and they put it on Fat Tone, who's a local Kansas City rapper, because Kansas City and the Bay had a special relationship when it comes to the hip hop culture. Even though Kansas City is the middle of the country in the plains, and they on the West Coast, you know, they had a thing where Kansas City rappers will go out into the West Coast and get bigged up. And you had the West Coast rappers from that area, from the Bay, or from Sacramento, from Oakland, from San Fran, will come out to Kansas City. So they blamed it on Fat Tone. And I think Fat Tone did some songs that it would sound like he had something to do with the killing of Mac Dre. And he didn't have nothing to do with it, but he was lured to his death in Las Vegas. They killed him out in Vegas for allegedly killing Mac Dre, which he really didn't do. Allegedly, he had no connect, but he didn't. I didn't, you know, even though he didn't do it allegedly, he didn't try to persuade or dissuade people from believing that he did. Therein lies the problem. It came to his street cred, you know, and it cost him his life. That's Fat Tone, and I like some of his stuff. I like some of Mac Dre stuff. But the Mac Minister of Defense, you know, he was on Snoop Dogg's The Last Dog Meal album. You know, he's the one doing life for the killing of Fat Tone and his associate out in Las Vegas. So I don't want this, you know. I know that the people who allegedly shot young Dolph in Hollywood was allegedly connected to Yo Gotti. This is the same year he got shot at 100 times down in Charlotte. I was out there and I said, because like the way the press had it at first, it was a drive-by. I said, how is a drive-by? Don't they know that part is a touristy part of Hollywood? It is hard to find parking, let alone move in Hollywood at the time when the incident happened. It's jam-packed in that area. Because I was able to go to L.A. for the first time twice back in 2017. When I went down to Hollywood, in that section where all the tourists, it is hard to move. It is hard to find parking. In a way, hell, they could have put out a drive-by. But let me read something from The Guardian about that incident. And I'm sorry. I thank y'all for the donations. We love y'all madly. Thank you, brother Alexis or sister Alexis. I'm going to say Alexis. Thank you so much. We love you madly. Thank you, brother Sean Fenty. We love you madly. I haven't checked out the chat yet. Let me check out the chat. I just been freestyling. Hoping that my stream will hold up. But it is so much to go through. Did I ever meet the Thiz Dance? Yes, right, Alexis. The Thiz Dance. Yes. Yeah, the Mac minister. He in jail for a long time for allegedly killing Fat Tone. See, it's so much stuff we don't talk about. These are times to talk about this stuff. Yeah, black youngster. They said it wasn't true. Though I'm on here because like you got people from the outside saying that somebody shot up black youngsters around my house, that they shot up Yo Gotti's club and restaurant called Privy. I think his mama owns that actually. That's not true. I'm in Memphis. I'm telling you not true. And we're not under any type of they said that they wanted a we call it when you got to go home a certain time. They want folks all in at a certain time. I said, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is not, I'm not afraid to go outside. I know I live in Memphis. If I believe everything the news tell me about Memphis, I'll be afraid to ever go outside. I mean, I was outside for 2 hours driving around just so I could bump Young Dolph music. I was driving around bumping Young Dolph for about 2+ hours. Martial law and curfew. Thank y'all so much, Patrick. Patrick Williams, thank you so much. Yes, curfew, martial law. There was no need for that. There ain't no need for that. You know, the people were really cool, come and collect. They was upset about what happened to Young Dolph. I heard somebody was shot and they drove into the crime scene. They was shot. I don't know, but they got them to the paramedics, whoever this person was. But that's Memphis for you, right? We the city of good abode. You know, we'll shoot you, but we'll offer you some lemonade or tea or something. Or some juniper, well, tulip juniper, whatever they call this stuff. Thank you. It's been, yeah, this is live. This is all the way live. You know it, Brother Patrick. But let me read something about what happened out in Cali. I can't believe it's been 4 years ago about the shooting in Hollywood of Young Dolph. They almost killed Young Dolph. Young Dolph was like Tupac. Kept on getting shot, and then one day was the day. You know, unfortunately, yesterday was the day. So I know I'm talking loud. They probably, oh, Brother Ron talking loud. See, if I was having making sex and making, oh God, oh Jesus, nobody would care. But since I'm talking this knowledge stuff, oh, it's too loud. He's bothering my fake reality. He's trying to crash my matrix. Anyway, let me see. Fine. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I'm looking for the Young Dolph picture. Yeah, Young Dolph, man. Oh, he looks so horrible. He's a good person, man. Look, he had a heart. You know, good people. Well, let me read this. I just want to read it. Thank y'all for rocking with us. We all be in it to win it. Rapper Young Dolph shot in Los Angeles with Yo Gotti named person of interest. You know, this is the Guardian from I believe September 2017 when that happened. Okay. Attack in Hollywood falls another in 2017 in which Young Dolph survived the hail of more than 100 bullets. Rapper Young Dolph has been shot and left in a critical but stable condition after an argument in Hollywood, Los Angeles. The shooting took place in the valet parking area of the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel and left Young Dolph, real name Adolph Thornton Jr., requiring emergency surgery. LAPD Detective Megan Aguilar told reporters that the shooting occurred after an argument with three men, which escalated to a physical fight. At one point, Young Dolph was knocked to the ground, and then one of the suspects pulled out a handgun and began shooting at him. Police detained one man with the two others at large. A gold Cadillac Escalade belonging to one of the men was found abandoned a block away from the hotel. According to Associated Press, detectives are investigating whether the attack is part of a dispute between Young Dolph and fellow rapper Yo Gotti. TMZ reported that police have named Gotti a person of interest after witnesses said he was involved. The rappers, both from Memphis, have a long-standing feud, apparently begun in 2014 after Dolph refused to sign the Gotti's label. Amid jabs on Twitter, Dolph's track Play with Yo Bitch explicitly attacked Gotti, including with a video cast using a Gotti lookalike. Less than a week after the release of the video, more than 100 shots were fired at Young Dolph's bulletproof SUV in an incident in Charlotte, North Carolina, leaving the rapper unharmed. He later taunted his attackers on Twitter, writing, "You lose," and performed at a club the same night. Black Youngster, a rapper signed to Yo Gotti's label, who has had his own feud with Dolph, was charged along with two others and is currently released on bail. He maintains his innocence, saying a van involved in the shooting, hired under his name, was stolen. Young Dolph told XXL that he had no clue who shot at him. He and Yo Gotti are significant figures in the U.S. rap scene. Dolph is perhaps best known for appearing on the OT Genesis hit Cut It, while his album Bulletproof, a reference to surviving the Charlotte attack, reached the U.S. top 40 in April. Yo Gotti, meanwhile, is currently in the U.S. top 10 with his single Record Up featuring Nicki Minaj and has scored two top 10 albums. So that's back from 2017. That was from 2017. So the beef has been well documented, and that comes from The Guardian. They do better reporting on our people than the so-called American newspapers. They don't give a damn about black people over here. Y'all do realize that Gina Six, the reason why we know about Gina Six is because of the foreign press, right? Because it was a black radio station owner or a radio station personality down in Alexandria, Louisiana, named Tony Brown. He was the guy who actually covered the case, starting with the whites only tree at Gina High School. He was on top of that case all the way up to the time when the boys jumped the white boy and they're about to throw the book at those guys at Gina Six. He coined the phrase Gina Six, Tony Brown. That's black radio, because black radio matters, but it wasn't picked up really until the foreign press got involved in talking about the Gina Six case. So thank God for the foreign press who take an interest in black lives, because black lives do matter. You understand? So the Guardian does a better job in covering what's going on with black people than these even black newspapers do. Unfortunately, it was crazy. But so it's been documented. But I wouldn't say that Gotti had something to do with this. Let it play out. No, let it play out. I don't know all the things that young Dolph was involved in, but he seemed like he was a decent guy. Then people ask me, did I ever meet young Dolph? I was in the same room as young Dolph with Minister Farrakhan. I didn't get a chance to meet young Dolph. I met A.L.L, MJG, Player Fly, some other people. I actually wanted to meet Farrakhan, but the brothers were not being cooperative. Like the Fruit of Islam know who I am. I don't know. They know, oh, you brother Run. Them guys knew me before I knew them. I mean, these are brothers from across the country, the Fruit of Islam. And I just been trying to meet with Farrakhan for a while. And I'm just saying, whatever. If I meet with him, I meet with him. If I don't, it is what it is. But I just want to give him his lifetime achievement plaque. That's all. So we all be out of this lifetime achievement plaque. He's a fellow Taurus like I am. And these cats know who I am. But I didn't get a chance to meet with Minister. But he had a meeting with the hip hop people. And I think it was organized by Drummer Boy, the hip hop producer. I don't know Drummer Boy personally, but I do know his father. I did collaboration with his father on our Fort Pillow projects and on Jimmy Lunsford. His father is a brilliant guy, intellectual. The first black, I think he was the first black music professor at the University of Memphis, Mr. James Golson. He's in the Navy. And also he played clarinet, I think, in the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. So Drummer Boy got a very accomplished father that I know. I don't know Drummer Boy, but I think he was one of the people that organized at a hip hop meeting. They put it on DVD. Folks saw me on the DVD with my African head on, Kufi, whatever. But I didn't get a chance to meet young Dolph, but he was there because he took a picture with the minister. So that was 2015. But I do enjoy his music. He's a great storyteller, or was a great storyteller. And he really, put his all into his thing. Let me show, let's see, another picture. Because my thing is we got to normalize our brother. He was not no monster. He was not no demon. He was not the devil. He was a black man. And he was a masculine black man who had a beautiful black young family, had a beautiful black queen. You know what I'm saying? Let's give him his props for what he got. Like, let's share this side of our brother. Don't let us be a part of the choir of demonizing our brother. I'm not gonna play a part in that. I'm here to humanize our brother. But I mean, that beautiful family. Look at that gorgeous black woman, life-giving sister, beautiful family. You know how hard, I mean, Thanksgiving is right up, coming right up, Christmas. That black daughter need a black man like her father in her life. That black son need a black man like need a black father like his father. That black woman need a black man who would have been ride, who is ride, was ride or die for her. I just, man, how could you do this to this man? This man was getting cookies. This man was just getting some cookies on his way to give out turkeys to needy people, to his people. This is like, yeah, y'all gonna, man, he shouldn't be doing rapping. I mean, he wasn't robbing nobody. He wasn't killing nobody. He was getting cookies from a black-owned business on his way to give out turkeys to his black people who needed turkeys, needed food. He was taking care of his people, and somebody said, well, you got to go. I don't think he woke up that morning thinking this is going to be his last time on the planet. He talks about death. He'd been shot at a lot of times. He'd been wounded, seriously, critically wounded. Could have died in Hollywood, But he said, he said, he going to live his life. He's not going to live in fear. He going to live in the light. But the thing about it, the industry that he's in is an industry of darkness. But, it's not just that. Because you look at Veterans Day. Like I said, Veterans Day is a blood sacrifice ritual day. Well, you got folks that died for things they don't even know they died for. You think you died for freedom and liberty. You wasn't dying for that. You was a blood sacrifice for the powers that be. You remember that scene in The Wire? Was that forgot, like Slim Charles, one of my favorite characters on The Wire. I forgot who Slim Charles was talking to. But the guy that he was talking to was saying, man, this is not right, man. We're fighting over a lie. We was lied to. And then Slim Charles said something, well, we're fighting a lie then. We'll fight on the lie. So we already in it anyway. We're just going to fight on that lie. Okay, we're going. And that's what we've been doing as a people, as a society, fighting on the lies. Fighting on lies. And it's got to stop. And the truth need to come out. But the truth need to come out about the industry as well. About, Astr World. Let me see, we are in the second hour. Yeah, a beautiful family. Great looking family. Damn shame. Thank you for the donations. We love you madly. Steve Mayfield, thank you so much. But this is why we got to humanize our people. Young Dolph was not a monster. Now this system is the real monster because it denies black folks humanity. It tries to emasculate the black man. You see, he was proud. See, that picture was the anti-Little Nas X agenda. Young Dolph knew he had to make the world a better place, not just for his children, but for other children, so that his children can feel safe in the world. We have to worry about looking over their backs because he'll be taking care of the whole village. And we as black people need to get back to that village concept. That's why I do what I do. It would have been awesome to work with Young Dolph. If I had a chance to talk to the brother about our history, about heritage, I think he would have been receptive based on the work he was already doing in the community. But we just don't know people. We allow the so-called enemies to define ourselves to each other. We allow them the permission and the consent to define our relationships with each other, to define our relationship with ourselves. We got to stop doing that. We got to reclaim that, and let me see. I'm going to put that picture back up there for me. I want to read something else about Young Dolph. They say he also was a cousin to Juice WRLD. Him and Juice WRLD was cousins. Juice WRLD was a very talented brother from what I get, some of the stuff I listened to. That's the cat who OD'd himself instead of going, turning himself into the authorities when he was on the airplane. he decided to overdose on the drugs he was trying to smuggle in. And that was sad, man. What a loss. He was like a very talented brother. But allegedly, Juice World and Young Dolph was cousins. Young Dolph was born in Chicago, but his people from Memphis. He grew up in Memphis, basically. So we claiming him. Yeah, a lot of folks from Chicago, from Mississippi, really. So anyway, we're gonna claim Young Dolph. But his cousin is allegedly is Juice World. That's a lot of tragedy in one family. But I'm gonna focus on Young Dolph. And I'm gonna put that picture up there with his beautiful black family. So I want people to remember him like that, you know. But also, yeah, before I get that, I want y'all to take a look at that picture. That's Petey Wheatstraw and Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson is a cat with the head, king of the Delta Blues. Petey Wheatstraw, the high sheriff of hell, the devil's son-in-law. Travis Scott and Young Dolph kind of look like them guys, right? They kind of look like them guys, right? Travis Scott is a Taurus. Robert Johnson is a Taurus. Petey Wheatstraw, he's a Capricorn, born December 21st. Capricorn or is that Sagittarius? But that's him, right? And I said high sheriff of hell, the devil's son-in-law. No, like Petey Wheatstraw. Y'all know a lot of times y'all know Petey Wheatstraw by but that the brother name. Damn, I'm getting old. Rudy Ray Moore, right? That was a Rudy Ray Moore character. Dolomite. He played a character called Petey Wheatstraw, but it was based on that guy. He was a blues singer from Arkansas and Tennessee. And then you got Robert Johnson from Mississippi. And they said Robert Johnson made a deal with the devil at the crossroads at midnight, learn how to play the guitar and sing the blues. And Petey Wheatstraw said he's the high sheriff of hell, the devil's son-in-law. Like, in that movie that Petey Wheatstraw with Dolomite, Rudy Ray Moore, he was supposed to marry the devil's daughter, right, and become the devil's son-in-law. So he got that off of Petey Wheatstraw, the actual musician. What's crazy about this is that, like I tell you about history, it's like Jimmy Lunsford was more popular among black dancers during his time than Duke Ellington and Count Basie and Cab Calloway. But the problem with Jimmy Lunsford is he died so young at 45. So he's forgotten about. You got to remember that Duke Ellington and Count Basie lived into their 70s. I believe Cab Calloway lived into his 80s. So it was around for TVs and doing more like big movies and stuff like that. Well, Jimmy Lunsford died at 45 back in 1947. And Robert Johnson died young at 27. He was allegedly poisoned by a club owner down in Greenwood, Mississippi, at the Three Forks Club that no longer exists. He was sleeping with the club owner's wife, so he put something in his liquor. So he ended up dying at the age of 27. And Petey Wheatstraw was actually on a beer run for his birthday and got killed while him and his friends got hit by a train in East St. Louis. He got killed like that. But all you guys died young, but Petey Wheatstraw was nationally known. He was very well known. He was like the most popular blues singer of his time. It's back in the 30s and the 40s. Robert Johnson was not that known. Matter of fact, when John Heyman, the guy who worked at Columbia, who discovered Billie Holiday, Count Basie, Bessie Smith, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, and so many other people, and who also had black people in his family on the Vanderbilt side, he sent for a scout to bring Robert Johnson to New York for his historical spirituals to swing concert that he held back in 1938 in the Carnegie Hall up in New York City. The guy told him, hey, Robert Johnson died back in August of this year at 27 years old. So I believe John Hammond played some of Robert Johnson's records on the stage with a Victrola, a record player, and had a microphone to it. So when Robert Johnson didn't become a household name until the 1960s, this guy died August 16th, 1938. August 16th is a very powerful date. That's the same day that August 16th is the same day that Aretha Franklin died. She died on August 16th. Elvis Presley died on August 16th. Babe Ruth died on August 16th. This is American cultural royalty. Babe Ruth was king of baseball. Aretha Franklin is queen of soul. Elvis Presley is the so-called king of rock. and Robert Johnson is king of the Delta blues. So August 16th is like an occult day. 1 6 plus 1 7. Uh, so he was nobody really know who Robert Johnson was while he was alive. He may have sold like 5,000 records, but Petey Wheatstraw was known. Matter of fact, they put his death in the national newspapers today. Billboard, I believe, had an article about his death, about his passing. So his death had gotten national recognition. But if you talk about Petey Wheatstraw today, people would think you be talking about the Dolomite character or the Rudy Ray Moore character in the movie, not about the actual blues man. Even though he was very popular and he was like 39 years young when he died. But anyway, but you think about that's why I asked if when young Dolph, will he be remembered 50 years from now if we don't tell his stories, if the fans don't take the time to document his music or his life and how his music made them feel, if that's not available 50 years from now. They could possibly make young Dolph a white person. Y'all laugh. They made Beethoven white. So they've been trying to make Duke Ellington and Charlie Parker white. So this is why it's important to tell our stories, to document our narratives, and preserve these stories. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing tonight, even though I ain't feel like doing it. I can't stop talking. But anyway, Travis Scott. My thing is, look at the music this way. I'm making it simple for y'all. Lucifer was a master musician. He was a master musician in heaven. So music, when you playing music, you got to pay homage to Lucifer, because he was the master choir director up in heaven. So musicians got to deal with the devil. The devil's loud domain is his or her, or its domain is this planet. The devil's like your supervisor. He's allowed to have certain control over your life. So the music, you think about that movie, The Devil's Advocate. The devil can't really control you, because it's really up to your free will. But the devil can persuade you to do things, but you have the choice to decide to do or not to do. Every musician knows that they got to sign a contract. Little Richard had to sign a contract. When Little Richard had an epiphany, almost got killed in that plane crash over there in Australia, he broke his contract when he went back to God, do the gospel music. That's how he lost his publishing and masters. Because the guy told him, you got to do this and this for a certain amount of time. If you don't honor these obligations, you forfeit your masters. That was his deal. And he forfeited his deal, but yet, Michael Jackson was able to help him get his stuff back, right? But, he had to pay some dues, but yet everybody making a deal. It's like what Tracy McGrady said about Kobe Bryant. He said Kobe, at a young age, knew that he was going to die young. Kobe knew he was going to die young, but his thing is that he wanted to be bigger than Michael Jordan, and he wanted to die young. Kobe died young. And Kobe, in some ways, is bigger than Michael Jordan, because you think about the younger players in the league, they don't look up to Michael Jordan. They look up to Kobe Bryant. Kobe is the model for the Steph Currys and the Kyrie Irvings and people like that. Kobe is their Michael Jordan for that generation. So he actually did fulfill the contract. But the thing about the contract is you don't know when your time is actually up. They never tell you when. It's like in the mob. You never see it coming to hit. When they kill you, they normally send who? Your best friend to kill you. So you never see it coming a lot of times when it's your time to get hit. But know that when you sign that contract, you give up your right to know when it's the time. Like young Dolph talked about him getting shot up, all those things. I don't live in fear. I know I don't live in death. I don't live in fear. I just know my time is coming. I know that one day will be the day. He didn't think probably yesterday was going to be that day, but it was that day. It's like with Travis Scott. Y'all think his career over. His career ain't over. He had to do the sacrifice. It's like Puff Daddy. Y'all remember back in the day? I'm not going to look this stuff up because I just don't feel like looking it up. Y'all, I'm telling y'all where to go a little bit. But remember when Puffy, when he first got started in the business, he had that event up in New York and had that tragic stampede. I think him and Heavy D was involved in that. And That could have destroyed his career before he ever got started. But we still talking about Puffy or P. Diddy today, right? P. Diddy still doing this thing. But early, he had to pay them dues. There was a sacrifice that had to be made. Whether he was fully aware of what that meant is up for debate, but he made the sacrifice and now he's who he is. He's a cultural icon. It's like with Matthew Broderick, the actor. Y'all do realize that Matthew Broderick killed two people. He actually drove in the wrong lane and killed two people overseas. I want to say it was Ireland or Scotland. This happened back in the 80s, I believe. Matthew Broderick, yes, the actor, he played in one of my favorite movies, Glory. No, he did a lot of great movies. And also he's married to the girl from Sex and the City. He actually drove his car into the wrong lane and killed two people in a foreign country. And he still got a career. He didn't go to jail for a long time. Yeah, I remember like with Rob Lowe back in the day, because he couldn't do it today, but Rob Lowe, when he had sex with an underage girl on camera down in Atlanta, he still got a career. That's why this Me Too thing sucks, really. Be honest with you, it's not about what people think it's about. Because society don't give a damn about women's rights. Never have. Even women don't care. Women just want power. See, the women that want to vote was the ones who didn't have power. The white women who were, married to these titans of industry, they knew they had the power behind the throne. They knew they had the power of the pillow talk. It was the white woman that persuaded the white man to pursue lynching. He didn't come up with that idea on his own. It was the white woman that raised these monsters. Like Dick Gregory said, he never slept with white women allegedly because of what came out her pussy. Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dracula zombies came out her pussy. So anyway, white women have a role to play in all this. They are power. That's another story for another day. But everybody make those deals, whether they know or not. Jennifer Hudson made a deal. Whether she know it or not, was it worth the cost though? Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, everybody makes those deals. Michael Jackson, Prince, everybody makes those deals. So Young Dolph made a deal, but it's not what y'all think. Y'all think about somebody with some horns and all this. No, you allow free will, but there's a price to pay, and all that glitters ain't gold. This somebody talk about Young Dolph. Let's talk about Young Dolph's album. The last song. Let's see. Then I'll let y'all go. Well, yeah, Travis Scott, they ain't through with Travis yet. He made his sacrifice. Just like with Drake. You gotta think about, it was an incident. The Rolling Stones had a concert out in California. Y'all look this up. It was filmed. I think it was the Hells Angels that was doing the security. And it actually caught on tape a black man who was, a fan in the crowd. He was getting into it with the Hells Angels. The Hells Angels actually killed this black man on tape. They filmed this black man getting killed by a Hells Angel. And I believe the Hells Angel that killed him ended up dying some crazy way. I think he was drowned in a lake or something, maybe several years after that. But y'all look that up about the Rolling Stones concert out in California where that black man got killed on film by the Hells Angels. The Rolling Stones still touring. I mean, y'all, Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones got drowned allegedly. He was blood sick. That's the real founder of the Rolling Stones, Brian Jones. He was drowned in his swimming pool. It was an accidental drowning. So the Rolling Stones still around. And Alec Baldwin's still gonna have a career. And life goes on. So y'all, this ain't even the worst thing. One of the worst building fires in American history was the Rhythm Club fire of 1940. I talked about this on my show many times. I interviewed survivors or a survivor of the Rhythm Club fire that happened on my birthday before I was born, 40 years before I was born, April 23rd, 1940, down in Natchez, Mississippi. Yeah, about over 300 black folks lost their lives in one of the worst building fires in American history. 300 black folks, including the club promoters, including the band. Most of the band got killed. People were stampeding, trying to get out. They were smothered, crushed. Some were burnt up. But a lot of people they just got crushed to death because there was only one way in and one way out. And people was just piling on that one way entrance trying to get out. People got scolded to death. They found like school teachers inside of refrigerators, suffocated to death because they didn't want to burn up alive. This happened back in April 23rd, 1940, down in Natchez, Mississippi. I went down there to pay my respects on my birthday weekend or Life Affirmation Day weekend. This weekend, you know, Natchez, Mississippi is also a place where they have the Devil's Punch Bowl, where over 20,000 black people were died at the hands of the Union Army by this deep spot by the Mississippi River. We went there to pay our respect. But I'm saying there's so much stuff that happened to us. So y'all talking about 9 or 10 people getting killed versus over 300 people getting killed? I think it's about over 300, 200 some people. A lot of black folks lost. You know, you had black families that were wiped out in one night. You had black mothers and fathers lose all their children that night. Bloodlines discontinued that night. Basically, a generation of would-be civil rights activists and progressive people wiped out that night. School teachers, students, musicians wiped out. Look up the Rhythm Club fire in 1940. So we got to put things in perspective. There's a lot of tragedies that we don't know about. You know, talking about Veterans Day, you know how many black GIs were murdered by this country? I ain't talking about overseas. I'm talking about by the government, and it's been covered up. You have all type of massacres of black GIs. Like down in Alexandria, Louisiana, where I talk about the Gen 6 with Tony Brown. They had a massacre by at least 15 GIs on Lee Street, on Robert E. Lee Street, the Confederate General Robert E. Lee. You had white military police officers and police officers shooting up black GIs with no weapons to defend themselves, just because they were black. You have the situation that's been unresolved at Camp Van Dorn. I went down to the Centerville near where Camp Van Dorn was what used to be. Allegedly 1,200, 1,300 black GIs murdered by white military police officers in cold blood and buried in a mass grave in a lake down there in Centerville, Mississippi. Nobody talks about. 20 years ago, white man named Carol Case from Mississippi wrote a book about it. Historical fiction for one part, but the other part telling the real backstory of what happened. Because it was a former white military police officer who was security at the bank where he worked at, had to tell him about it before he died. He said, man, we killed a whole bunch of black folks. Whole bunch of black soldiers was killed down there in Camp Van Dorn back in 43. So he got the story. You know what's crazy? The local news station down in Jackson did a series on the Camp Van Dorn massacre. They interviewed white folks, civilians, former military, and black folks. And everybody said it happened. White folks said they saw black bodies stacked like corkwood in the trains heading to somewhere. White folks that worked on the base said it happened. But yet the government and the U.S. military, the NACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, they said we want to demand the military investigate this. How are you going to tell the military to investigate itself? It's like telling the CIA to investigate the Kennedy assassination. Guess what they did? You know, A.L.L. Dulles was the former director of the CIA who was fired by Kennedy, and he was told by the Warren Commission to investigate the death of Kennedy. One of Kennedy's enemies was told by the government to investigate itself or investigate the person that they had a beef with, who said he wanted to destroy the CIA. It was Kennedy wanted to get rid of the CIA. So it's like you telling the FBI to investigate what happened to King. Y'all trust what they say in the archives when it's been proven that the gun that shot Dr. King came from the FBI allegedly. It was in the chain of possession of the gun that killed Dr. King. And yet you trust them to release the truth about Dr. King in 2027. I'm still gonna love Dr. King. To hell with y'all. But what I'm saying is, I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But yeah, the Camp Van Dorn thing. It must have happened because the white folks said it happened. The civilians and the folks that worked on the base. But yet the records don't show it happened. See, y'all don't understand how the military works, right? Once you sign your name on that contract, like, you know, you're making deals with the devil. I tell you this, the devil system, the devil. You making deals with the devil. So once you sign your name on that contract, you gave up your right to be sovereign.
You gotta use the word sovereign, right? You give your right to be your own individual, the right to free will. You chose in your free will to give up your free will when you sign with Uncle Sam. You are the property of Uncle Sam. That means if something happened to you, they can say whatever they want to say. They don't have to tell your family. They're not beholden or accountable to your family once you give your right to be an individual. You their toy, you their property. That means they can do whatever they want to do with you. They could kill you over here in Mississippi, but say that you died over in Germany and your body was lost. Oh, yeah, we sent them to, over there to Russia and we never recovered the body, but you up there in a lake in Mississippi. But they told your folks were told that you died in a plane crash over the English Channel and your body was never recovered. Oh, but the documents, y'all so silly to me. Yeah, but it makes sense when you are people that, I'm gonna give them the receipts. I'm gonna show them that I'm a Indian and I'm sovereign and I'm American and this is my land. This land is my land too. And you give them all the receipts. And the devil said, how y'all been getting along? We've been suffering. Because I'm the devil. You supposed to suffer. Because y'all consented to this. Y'all keep on wanting the devil to recognize your humanity when the devil is only qualified to give you more hell. So you got to recognize your humanity and do something about it. And y'all don't want to do what y'all need to do. Y'all know what y'all need to do, but y'all won't do it. And that's okay. Because that's how, cowards always live for another day. That's why they say a coward dies 1,000 deaths or 1,000 generations, whatever come first. So a lot of black soldiers lynch over here by Uncle Sam. The reason why I say about Uncle Sam, because Uncle Sam didn't do anything about when the black GIs were getting killed by so-called white civilians. Now you had Isaac Woodard, a World War II veteran. He just got discharged hours before in Atlanta. Then he come down to South Carolina. All he wanted to do is be treated like a man, and he wasn't trying to cause no trouble. He had his medals on his person, he had his uniform on, and the bus driver lied to me he was a troublemaker. All he wanted to do is make sure he used the restroom and not get left by the bus driver. But the bus driver told the sheriff of the next town it's a troublemaker Negro. So they took this black man, they blackjacked this black man. They used their billy clubs to jab at his eye sockets and poke his eyes out, basically bust his eyeballs, and refused to give him treatment and let him stay in his cell for days, I believe. And he had amnesia from getting beat up, having all the concussions, and they just bust his eyeballs out. And he said, "Oh, you permanently blind." And that led to the desegregation of the military. Y'all thought we could white folks like black people. No, because Truman, even though he was the ultimate racist, Truman wanted to join the Klan when he was in Kansas City, but because his benefactor was a Catholic, Tom Pendergast, he didn't join the Klan. But Truman was more upset about the fact that they did this to this man when he was in his uniform, more so than he was a black person. It's like, how could they do this to this man when he represented our government in his uniform with his medals? Because Truman was a World War I veteran. So Truman became the first president to speak before the NAACP. He knew he might lose the election by doing so. And he also pushed for the segregation of the military. And he was pissed that happened to that man, not because he was black, but because he was a soldier. Or was a soldier, or he was in uniform. And it was a disgrace. But I can tell you a whole, Thurgood Marshall's mentor, Charles Hamilton, I call him Jegna. I hate the word mentor. Jegna. Charles Hamilton Houston, who was the dean of the Howard Law School and the architect of Brown v. Board. He was a lieutenant officer in the military during World War I. The white doughboys almost lynched him in France. They almost killed him. They almost lynched him in his uniform because the white women wanted the black chocolate man in uniform more so than the doughboys. They preferred the black man with the monkey tails to the doughboys. And he almost got lynched because of that. And he vowed when he came back to the home front to dedicate his life to liberating his people. But we don't talk about Charles Hamilton Houston, don't we? See, the people that really love us and serve us, we don't care about. Young Dolph, whatever you may think about his music, he died in service to community. He was supporting a black business on his way to give turkeys to black families for the holidays. I got testimony from people in my family. They said, well, young Dolph used to hang around my nephew over there off of Elliston and Castalia. So that's South Memphis places. He was known around the community. They loved him over there. So I don't think it necessarily was a person from that beloved community or neighborhood that killed him. Like I said, the police was right down the street, and he got cameras everywhere. So they better do their best to solve it because this really hurt our town. This hurt me more than I even know. I just know it just hurts, man. It really hurts. But well, with Travis Scott, he'll be all right. He might be a billionaire in about a couple years. Mark my words, he'll be joining the billionaire ranks. Even think about Kanye with Donda. His mom was a blood sacrifice. And I'm trying to say something sinister? No. But she chose to be a blood sacrifice, though. She didn't have to be, but she chose to be. That's why he honors his mom. We all are blood sacrifices. Some are bigger than others. I just want y'all to get used to the idea because y'all didn't stop making everything boogeymanish. Y'all talking about the Illuminati. I'm here to illuminate. Like I said, I got folks in my family that were Freemasons and Prince Hall. I'm not Pas de Boule. There's a Freemason hall right across the way, right where they killed Dr. King at. There's a Freemason building. Probably was there when they killed Dr. King. Been there for a while. Right across the street. And it's also right across the street where they started the Memphis race massacre. They killed all them black people, rape and pillage, burned down all the black churches and schools. That started the Reconstruction era. So I'm right in the history where they shot Dr. King in the face. This is where I live. I work with this every day. This is on my mind every day. I'm right down the street where Dr. King did his last speech. I'm just several blocks away from Bill Street when they ran Ida B. Wells out of town and destroyed a newspaper office. This is my town. This is my city. So I don't, people want to talk about Memphis bad. Y'all see, it's on the people. Like this stuff is going on everywhere. But we all are potential Manchurian candidates and controlled. Now with the Cal Rittenhouse thing, I think I talked about Travis Scott. I know, let me see. What was the title of this stuff? I'm trying to get out here in 2 hours. I can talk about this stuff all day. It's so much stuff in my mind about this stuff. I could talk about this stuff all day. I just hate getting online. It's just the process of getting on. Man, I'm getting old and stuff. Like my body, man, it does not want to collaborate sometimes. Sometimes I just sit up and just like when I first get up in the morning, it'd be like I just be meditating for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, saying, why God? Why me? Why God? Why I title this? I said Young Dolph, Astr, Rick James, Cal Rittenhouse. Okay, I'm definitely want to talk about Rick James. If y'all haven't already, check out that the Netflix documentary. Not Netflix, excuse me, Showtime. If you got Showtime or Fire Stick or something, check out that documentary about Rick James. That stuff is amazing. That stuff is amazing about Rick James. It's incredible. Rick James is so unsung, man. He is so unsung. We don't do our people right, man. That's what I'm saying. Rick James won Grammys and changed the game. How many of us really appreciate the legacy of Rick James? And I thank God that Rick James did not come up in the Me Too era. We would not have all this great music if Rick James was a victim of the Me Too era. The closest person to Rick James in this era is R. Kelly. R. Kelly is a music genius. I don't care what y'all think about him. He was railroaded. If y'all can't see that, I don't really care. I got my own prescription magic glasses. They railroaded R. Kelly. R. Kelly still got a lot of music left in him. We are being robbed of music greatness. He already said he was the Pied Piper. Like I said, y'all, music is Lucifer's realm. Rick James had his demons, but he was able to tame those demons to create timeless music. Rick James had a gift. He could not only make himself sound good, he brought out the best in others. Look at Tina Marie. Look at Eddie Murphy. Look at anybody. Look at the musicians that played with Rick James. They sounded much better with him than without him. Rick James was brilliant. I didn't know his background in folk music and all. I mean, man, it was incredible. The influence his mom had, the record collection she had, and being exposed to Jack. Rick James was incredible, man. And I had to revisit Rick James' catalog after looking at that Showtime documentary. And this is what I'm going to say. I mean, I know people, this group name, I know I'm going to get their name wrong. Also, it's kind of interesting that Young Dolph died on Lord Infamous' birthday. Memphis music hip hop fans, Lord Infamous is the younger brother, or the older brother rather, of DJ Paul of 3 6 Mafia. He's one of the founders of 3 6 Mafia. Memphis rap Memphis music is incredible. There's no other legacy. I ain't trying to be. I know y'all think I be boasting. There's no other place in the country that got the type of Memphis or the music legacy as Memphis does. There's a reason why there's more recorded songs about Memphis than any other place in American music history. You got more recorded songs about Memphis than Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Houston. There's more songs about Memphis than all them places, and all them places are way bigger than Memphis. But Memphis is an incubator for cultural greatness. That's what y'all got to understand. This is why I do the shows that I do. This is why I talk about Mr. Lunsford, who's credited being the first person to teach jazz studies in any place in the world in a formal educational setting. Memphis is incredible. I don't care where I'm at. I'm always being an ambassador for this city, for its legacy. I would not put up with the BS that people say, well, y'all say Memphis boring, but y'all kill everything. No, y'all don't support. Memphians don't support stuff. We help create things but we don't support the things that we create. We want validation from everybody else, from every other source. It's like you look at crunk music. Crunk did not start in Atlanta. Little John and all them cats will tell you that they got crunk from Memphis. Crunk came from Memphis. Little John, you listen to early Little John, T.I., even Ludacris. They shout out neighborhoods and places in Memphis like Orange Mound, South Parkway. They'll shout out Memphis because they know this stuff came out of here. But the problem with Memphis, we're not united. It took David Banner from Mississippi to help 3-6 Mafia and 8 Ball and MJG to do a collaboration. That's ridiculous. It took an outsider to bring them together for Stay Fly, out the most known unknown album. But our history is incredible here, and I just wish that I could have worked with somebody like Young Dolph. He would have got it. I believe he would have got it. You know, just have a chance to talk to these people. A lot of times, these people they don't like supporting people like me. I have noticed a trend. They don't support people like me. I'm a miracle. I'm the rose that grew from concrete. I don't supposed to still be doing what I've been doing for all these years. I supposed to have given up. These folks are still surprised that I'm able to do things at a certain level without hardly any support. You know, hardly any support. And I still, because I've been called to do what I'm doing. And even though it feel like it's an inconvenience for me, God has a way of working it out. The ancestors told me if I honor them, they'll take care of me. I don't know how I'm still surviving. Because money ain't really coming in like that, but I'm able to do some spectacular things with no budget. But anyway, yeah, Rick James, like, what's that group? Let's see. I'm talking loud, but I can't help it, man. It is what it is. Yeah, Silk Sonic with Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars. I listened to that album. I like the first song they had that everybody was listening. I don't really care for the album. I don't know what it is. I gotta listen to it again. I know they got Boosie Collins in there, but they should have had Boosie playing guitar or something, bass. They should have had Philip Bailey. They should have had some of the funk artists in there making a contribution, because what happened was I saw the Rick James Showtime documentary. I just been going through Rick James' catalog. The stuff he did was incredible. It would stand the test of time. Rick James was a brilliant man, head of his time. Everybody took from Rick James. Prince took from Rick James. He talked about it. Rick James was amazing, man. And y'all don't understand. Rick James was black. He's like Little Richard. Like them guys, man. You think that they be bragging and they be like, oh man, this is full of crap. They ain't do. You start looking at the receipts. Oh my God, they are the person. They the man. Little Richard did do all that. Rick James did do all that. And with Rick James, he paid the price. They blackballed Rick James. They talked about how Rick James is the reason why you have Lionel Richie. Even that. Because Rick James took a stand. It's like Nina Simone. They be so super talented and so super sensitive. And they always believe in black people. Rick James, whatever you might think about the women he messed with, he loved being black. Rick James, he said, I'm gonna make funk punk. This man created funk punk. The stuff he had was jazz and blues and rock and roll and folk. This man was amazing. The riffs he came up with. Think about You Can't Touch This and Super Freak. The stuff he had in there, it was like a blueprint or a map for others to follow. It's like you take Sun Ra. See, y'all ain't hip to Sun Ra. Sun Ra was ahead Sun Ra was using synthesizers back in the late 40s and early 50s. Sun Ra had the blueprint for Parliament, a Funkadelic. He had the blueprint for Earth, Wind, and Fire, for Prince, for everybody. I mean, I remember Andre 3000 on Rap City. Joe Claire asked him, like, what you reading? He said, I'm reading a biography about Sun Ra. He said, what you know about some Sun Ra? 3 years later, Love Below. That's Sun Ra, that's Rick James, that's everybody. And it's timeless. But Rick James, that was when black music still was black. Because white folks tried to destroy the soul of, and it, look, music used to be able to heal. Now they're using the music to kill. We got to reclaim that. And Rick James, he was like one of the last ones. Because even when they were doing the stuff they were doing in the 80s, Rick still had the organic feel. The soul was still there. Because even I listened to this, I looked at it, I feel bad. Because Silk Sonic, I'm not really feeling that album. I got to listen to it again. I only listened to it one time. Folks, I like it's a great album. It's only great because you don't know the history of what came before. It's like, it's only great because you know about Jelly Roll Morton. I love Jelly Roll Morton. He was like one of them other guys. I've been in jazz. Oh, you full of shit. This man had stuff. They found stuff of Jelly Roll Morton after he died that predicted bebop. He was doing what Charlie Parker was doing and Dizzy was doing back in the 40s. Jelly Roll Morton was already doing it in the 20s. But because we don't know our history, and he died young too. What I'm saying is, it's so much to us that we don't know what quality is, but we know we love a good ripoff. It's like I remember I talked to Dr. Ron Gregory, Dick Gregory's brother. I interviewed him. He said, Ron, you know what? I'm named Ron. He was named Ron. He went to Notre Dame. Dick Gregory came from a very accomplished and educated family. They started in the projects, but they moved on up. So that's the power of black people, how we could change our predicament in really one generation. But he said, Ron, what's crazy was, when that Dick Gregory one man play came out with Joe Morton as Dick Gregory, it cost about $100 to see Joe Morton play Dick Gregory. Well, you could have saw the real Dick Gregory for just $20. You could have interacted with the real Dick Gregory for about $20 and a drink. Talk to him, have him curse you out, have him say you lovable and laugh with you. You could have had the real Dick Gregory for $20, but yet they want you to pay for a fake Dick Gregory, for $100 on an off-Broadway play. That's the weirdness of America. They love the copycats but hate the originals. B.B. King was asked about what he thought about the Beatles. He said all they did was re-import the blues because they taught them everything. B.B. King, Little Richard, Willie Dixon, Bo Diddley, all them guys to go over there to Europe and teach them guys how they did their blues. Now, even the white blues men today, they learn from people like Muddy Waters. They showed them everything. So we are the alchemists of humanity, black people. But yet, until black people learn that we got to fight for our own vision, believe in ourselves, do things for ourselves first before everybody else, we'll never be free. Until you start believing that you need white friends and allies to be whole, you're never gonna be free. So-called black people, y'all worry about name. You claim your name and fight for it. If you want to be called a Choctaw or Aboriginal, whatever you call yourself, stand on it and fight for it. Just like William Braveheart on anybody, William Wallace, all them cats, fight for it and, fight on what you believe in. Stand on it and fight for it. And do it for yourself. Don't do it because you want to be impressing other people. No, that's like the Cal Rittenhouse thing. The Cal Rittenhouse. Yeah, Houston and Memphis got a special connection though. You said we got talent too. Here, a lot of cats you think from Houston really from Memphis. Like Johnny Ace, he got killed. He died in Houston, but he was signed to Duke Records. But Duke Records was started by a white dude at WDA named Dave Mattis. And Don Roby made him an offer he couldn't refuse. The black dude who looked like a white man, who was a hybrid of Suge Knight and Russell Simmons and Berry Gordy. He was ahead of his time. But A.L.L and MJG, they from Orange Mound here in Memphis. But I remember when I used to visit my sperm donor, my father, down in Houston back in the 90s, you would have thought that A.L.L and them was from Sunnyside or from Fifth Ward or something. People love A.L.L and MJG down in Houston back in the 90s. Suave House. Yeah, but Houston and Memphis and Tennessee and Texas got a special relationship. Yeah, I got a lot of good looking talent in Houston. Y'all got some beautiful women down there. It's hot as hell, hot ass women. But it is a lot of talent down in Houston. Ghetto Boys, one of my favorite groups. Yeah, Sun Ra, Sunra, Sun Ra, not Sun Ra. Sun Ra, Sun and then Ra. Nah, he was on a spiritual high, brother. He didn't want his people using. Like he wanted his people and his band to be celibate and to be drug free. He wanted them to be clean and dedicated and focus on the music. Sun Ra was a unique individual. He probably was asexual. They say he didn't really sleep that much, but he got the best, he taught the men how to make instruments and women how to make their own instruments out of tree trunks and everything. Sun Ra, they said his cousin was Elijah Muhammad. They said a lot of what Elijah Muhammad got, for the nation, he got that from Sun Ra, allegedly. But they supposed to be cousins. So you think about how they value institutional building. They were both institutional builders. So that would make sense. But Sun Ra was taking the junkies and the dispossessed off the street. He was taking black men and women who were coked out and drugged out and strung out, and people gave up on. He made them whole again about teaching them the joy of the sound, the joy of music. You had brilliant black men like John Gilmore, the saxophonist. John Gilmore was an amazing saxophonist. He used to teach John Coltrane saxophone, if you could believe that. John Coltrane was like 6 to 5 years older than John Gilmore, but he sat at his feet basically learning John Gilmore, because John Gilmore had an amazing saxophone sound, and he really stayed with Sun Ra about 50 years. He could have been a star like a John Coltrane on his own, but he wanted to stay with Sun Ra because Sun Ra, he said, in his words, to paraphrase John Gilmore, Sun Ra was more spaced out than Thelonious Monk. He had, he was the avant-garde. Sun Ra had the blueprint. Like I said, a lot of folks benefited from the example of Sun Ra. He does not get the credit. I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Parliament, Funkadelic, all the funk bands, Prince, even Michael, all of them benefited from the showmanship and the sound of Sun Ra. He was ahead of everybody, and he paid a price for being ahead of everybody. So he got folks off the dope and gave them real hope that it could manifest. Pat Patrick, the great baritone saxophonist and composer, that's the father of Deval Patrick, who was the first black governor of Massachusetts. Pat Patrick chose Sun Ra over his family. His son became the future governor of Massachusetts, but he chose Sun Ra and the music over his son and the rest of his family. Him and his son reconciled before he died. I believe he died in 91. He played at his son's wedding, but no, Sun Ra was on the hope. He was brilliant. He was ahead of his time. Yeah, Pharaoh Sanders, all that. Yeah. A lot of places got a lot of spells. The music has spells. Don't you know? That's why the music is interesting. I talk about the devil influencing the music. They mix the music. They master the music certain way. I interviewed Dick Gregory on here. I think I can almost end this. I think I gave y'all enough to close out with Kyle Rittenhouse. I interviewed Dick Gregory some years ago, maybe 2013, 2014. He talked about how he saved and changed the lives of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Now, there's a Jet magazine cover with Dick Gregory on it with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. They summoned him to Europe to detox him from drugs for good. Dick Gregory said they were living in a cave mansion, not just in a cave. They know the white man is the caveman, but they were actually living in a cave that was a mansion in Europe. And Dick actually detoxed John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono told him that after he detoxed them, that John Lennon never used drugs again. Dick Gregory gave John Lennon a prayer book, a hymn book, or something such, and he said that was the inspiration for him to write the song "Imagine." No, one of his big sellers. He wrote this song based on the prayer book that was gifted to him by Dick Gregory. So Dick Gregory inspired this man to write some great music. But John Lennon told Dick Gregory that the reason why the Beatles was brought to the United States was to get young people hooked on drugs. You listen to their song "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds," that talk about LSD. You listen to "Hey Jude," it talks about heroin. So their job was to hook the American public, in particular the youth, on drugs. So John Lennon had to change of heart. So they all make deals. John Lennon made a deal. They all make deals. And so he had to change of heart, try to be a part of the anti-war movement, and they took him out. The government took John Lennon out of here. Y'all think it was the Mark David Chapman character, but like the lead investigator, lead detective on the case said that Mark David Chapman committed the perfect crime. If he did kill John Lennon, he had enough time to get away. He just waited for the police to come arrest him. But what people don't understand is that the doorman at the Dakota where John Lennon and Yoko Ono lived was a Cuban national who was also an assassin for the CIA. So it could have been a doorman that killed John Lennon. And that Mark David Chapman was MK Ultra Manchurian candidate that was programmed to be a patsy. So y'all can look all that stuff up. But John Lennon said that they were used to try to hook young people on drugs. And I'll tell you about the songs. And they came from the Tavistock Institute over in England. See, Tavistock Institute allegedly is the birthplace of MK Ultra, mind control, Manchurian candidate stuff. So Cal, speaking of Manchurian candidate, Cal Rittenhouse, that thing is interesting. My thing to black people is that that's white on white crime. I won't worry about Cal Rittenhouse. I see y'all getting all upset and mostly invested in this bullshit. I don't understand that because it's really not about us. We never got justice from this system. This is about white people. This man killed two white people. He seriously wounded another white person. From my understanding, some of these white people they killed had some interesting background. Not saying that they deserve what they got, but it is what it is. But I'm saying they always using black pain to exploit for white gain. And my thing is, let the courts let it play out, but it's not our fight. Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't feel any way about him. I have not been keeping up with the case. I heard that the judge dropped the weapon possession charges and all this stuff. Y'all talking about why did his mom drop him off in a war zone? I believe they say his daddy lives in that area. I don't think he's all the way white. He's like George Zimmerman white. I want to see what his daddy looked like. He looked racially ambiguous to me. That's just me. He don't like he's just a so-called white person. I think he that George Zimmerman white. And if he is that George Zimmerman white, he's gonna get off. It is what it is. But my thing is for so-called black people, it's not my concern. That's not gonna upset me. I don't know why they got sent the National Guards to stop black folks from destroying stuff. I want to build. I'm tired of this destruction stuff. If y'all really want to destroy, just take down this system. It's like with the Occupy Wall Street movement some years ago. And I mean, about 10 years ago, they didn't say they want to defund Wall Street. They didn't say they want to destroy Wall Street. They said they want to be a part of Wall. They want to occupy. They want to sit inside of Wall Street. They want to be a part of the system, a part of the belly of the beast. So a lot of y'all has got it conflicted. I mean, this rioting and turn stuff is just waste of energy. Why don't you conserve your energy or focus your energy on things that is conducive to not only your survival but also your success? All this. Well, I want to prove to white people how they hurt me. They don't give a damn. They hurt themselves. They don't care. So I mean, care about yourself enough to not worry. And my thing is, people keep on talking about, you treat people how you want to be treated. No, that's disrespectful. So what if a person got some type of mental disorder and they don't treat themselves so well? So if they hurting you, that means they doing right by you because you said you should be treating people how you want to be treated. If they want to be treated where they want to get slashed their wrist, and they say, "Oh, you want to be treated like I'm treated, like I like to be treated," I'm gonna slash your wrist too. See, y'all be running fool's errands. Don't let these folks get these words. Y'all so focused on Negro and black, they mean the same thing. Or all this stuff y'all focus on, but y'all not looking at the contradictions and the hypocrisy of it all. When people say, "I'm gonna treat people how I want to be treated," if you want to be spanked on your ass with a goddamn spiked baseball bat, I don't want to be spanked on my ass with a spiked baseball bat or a baseball bat full of spikes. But I want to treat you how I want to be treated. See, I don't get into all that freaky stuff. Not like that. If you like to be treated, if you like somebody to suck your toes, everybody don't like to get their toes sucked. So why would I treat you like you want to be, how I want to be treated? How about I respect you by asking you, how do you want to be treated? Or better yet, you train me and show me how you want to be treated. See, you ask a lot of people, they don't know what they want. That's why they say silly stuff like that. People say you do the same thing over and expecting a different result. That's called insanity. No, that's called practice. It's called practice. Y'all, that's why y'all don't want to do nothing. Man, that's a lot of work, man. I do this. Man, everything about repetition. Learning is repetition. So is that insanity to learn? Okay. So I think I talked about everything I said I was gonna talk about. Black folks, white folks ain't gonna never give you what you want until you know what you want for yourself. It's not they're not obligated to give you anything. You got to take what you want and know what to do for it for yourself. We the only group that got this issue. We don't know what we want for ourselves. We keep on trying to compare ourselves with other people. We are truly a people that's beyond category. Like I said, we the alchemists of humanity. We create things a lot of times not for ourselves but for others. So what they said, I think I sorry. Yeah, Satan was hanging out with them Luciferians or Satanists, and he was a Jew. You got a synagogue of Satan. Anybody? Anyway, and it's another thing, man. There's a lot of stuff. Because people talking about listening to the Bible. Truth be told, King David and King Solomon were probably Egyptians and not Jews, and that's another story. I'm not going to talk about it right now. People said, "Do King Solomon did he really exist? Did King David really exist?" They were based on real people, but they probably were Egyptians and not Jews, and that's another story for another day. And what color were the Egyptians really? And that's another story for another day. And was Moses really a pharaoh? That's another story for another day. I'm just here to make you think. I'm not here to make you think like me, but I just want to throw that stuff out there. A lot of things been told down the line. Y'all mistake lies for truth and truth for tradition. So I mean, it's very fascinating. You start thinking about stuff, really thinking about it. So I ain't. We got to get our women in order. Yeah, women got to want to submit, but men got to be men. And women, they'll know the real thing. I think people still got some discernment in there. If you are the real deal, it'll be proven by your consistency and your works, what you produce, and you being consistent. And you won't have no problem with these women. I remember, like, when I was planning this thing right here, and this woman thought I was crazy. It was a woman that I dealt. She lonely. She a Gemini. She kind of like all over the place. She kept on saying, "You don't know what you're talking about." And then when she saw the actual show and what we was doing, said, "I got it, Ron. You did your thing. You did it." So I know I was doing. And she don't want to admit that she actually do like me, but she just she can't believe that I actually knew what I was doing. And I do know what I'm doing. Even now, as I'm talking to you now, at it's about 1:07 a.m. Central Time, I knew exactly what I was doing when I got on here to talk about what I talk about because it was necessary because of what I was seeing in social media was weird. You got folks that should know better. But like Baba D. Gregory said, just pray at noon for the truth to come out about everything and anything. I had a chance to meet Lorenzen Wright, the basketball player who was allegedly killed by his wife. I met him at a gas station right just some blocks away from where his body was found. I had a chance to talk to him, and he was cool people. You know what I'm saying? He was good people. It's like he was a good person. I don't know everybody got their demons and dark side, but I'm saying he like you see like a pretty approachable cat, and he was cool. And we was pumping gas, and the next thing I know, he was dead. And life is like that. Life is very short. It's very fragile. It's very unpredictable. And the best thing you could do is just dedicate yourself to the moment and to thy own self be true. So that's the best way to give um your contribution is to be true to yourself first and to be honest with yourself, to have a great relationship with yourself. So you can start having relationships with other people in different areas and facets of human activity. So with that said, family, I think I covered everything. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad for the chat. I don't know if anybody gave donations in the chat, but thank you if you gave some donations. I'm just looking at it now. Like I said, I be freestyling, man. I don't have no thing in front of me tell me what to say. This is how I develop my style. But I want to thank everybody for just taking the time. You moderator, thank you so much for moderating and for listening. And I'll be a part two or something like this. But I just wanted, yeah, I'll get off now. It's messing up. I know the signal's going in and out. So what they said, family. If you like the words from Brother Herd, please spread the word. So your support, you could cash app your support at $ R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2. You can Google Pay, PayPal, or Zelle your support at R2C2H2 at gmail.com. That's R2C2H2 at gmail.com. You can Venmo your support at R2C2H2. You can buy Artivist art, R2C2H2.com. You can wear Artivist art. This is not my shirt. This is Sister Kara Dangerous Talk shirt. Go to the website, Kara Dangerous Talk. Get your no shirt. Okay. So thank you all once again. And let's read this. Well, read this. Call it disclaimer. Thank y'all for being very patient. I know it's been long. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. Words of great Duke Ellington. We love y'all madly. And I just want to play these words. Okay. I don't know. This streaming thing here. I'm good. I don't know. I think I'm good. Let me see. Is my stream breaking up? I don't know. Let me see something. Okay, I just want to play this young Dolph. He was just trying to get cookies, y'all. I'm gonna humanize young Dolph. It's important that we humanize our brother. I would suggest y'all social media platforms post as many humanizing pictures, videos of young Dolph fight against whatever they're trying to put to destroy this masculine black man, this family man, this man in the people, this man in the community. We got to control the narrative. We got to shove it down their throats like they've been shoving this BS down our throats for all this time and know that the best is yet to come. Words of great Duke Ellington. We love y'all madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. Because all he wanted was some cookies, man. Rest in peace. Young God, young Dolph, brother Adolph, Robert Thornton Jr. We love you madly.
Come back around there. What you got? Chocolate chip. Them hot. Just for you. Appreciate you, baby. Be safe.